Just made my morning cup of tea, and I got up at 7:25. It's now 7:46, and I don't have to work until 8:30. So I think I'm going to spend the morning reading. I might take a walk if it's not too cold, but it's probably too cold. And maybe exercise, maybe sew up the hole on my shirt. There's two holes. I fixed one yesterday, but I'm going to sew the other one. Yeah, and then go to work. All right. I was going to make sausage and pasta for dinner, but I opened the sausage and I realized it was 4 days late, 4 days past the expiration, and it smelled. It wasn't a bad smell, it just smelled really strong. So I threw it away. But now I realize it kind of stunk up the whole apartment, so I have a candle trying to make it smell better. And I'm still going to make the pasta. I'm just going to not cook any meat in the gravy. And I never did that before, but I hope it'll taste okay, because I don't feel like going to buy more meat. Apparently, the CEO of United Healthcare was assassinated, murdered, and I guess it's a big deal. Like, the internet's going off about it. Like, I looked once and I see it everywhere. Interesting. I don't know anything about it yet, but I'll have to read about it. Okay. I made dinner. I ate pasta without any meat, but it was okay. Still tasted good. Made the whole box, so I have a lot left over, but I figure I'll eat that over the weekend. I gotta start thinking about things to talk about. So today, let me think about my day. Woke up, I had tea, I did some reading, did some exercise, I worked, I played games during work. The graphic design stuff has been interesting because, sorry, I'm scratching at something at the table, but it's nothing. Graphic design's been interesting because I have, what I think is good is, it's kind of loud. What I think is good is colorful, artistic, graphic design. But I think what my bosses think is good is a lot more like a glorified Word document. And that's okay. I'm just learning how to scale my stuff down to that. I think there's a spectrum somewhere between straight Word document and art poster, and I have to skew towards theirs a little bit, but it's good. What else? I got to the part in Dishonored that I thought was the end, and it turns out I forget the whole actual end of the game. There's a lot more after this, and I'm excited because I don't remember most of it. I still have this IHOP syrup here. I will read this book. I am still reading the Victorian book, and it's currently on women's corsets now. And it explains some of the myths of, like, people weren't passing out all the time or destroying their bodies, because most women wore corsets that weren't terribly tight but helped with posture. The worst thing that came out of those was just you didn't use your back and abdomen muscles at all because you were just kind of slouching within this corset thing. So the argument for wearing corsets was that women have weaker muscles and then women started wearing the corsets, and because they relied on the corsets so much, when they took them off, they were actually weaker because they weren't using, their muscles were atrophying, and that made them think, oh, I should probably keep wearing a corset. Maybe the doctor's right. And doctors were big advocates for corsets. My carpet in my bedroom keeps shedding, and I guess that's what I get for buying the cheapest one. And the only people who actually had these problems with corsets were people who are over tightening, and that was a few, I guess, not the whole population, but there were also girls in school. There were some schools that made them continuously tighten their corsets, just like braces, how braces keep tightening over time and adjusting. They would make girls wear tighter and tighter corsets, and that's how they ruined their rib cages like that. But yeah, crazy. The whole men's clothing section was neat, and how there were warehouses of used clothes, like thrift stores, but warehouse level thrift stores, multiple floors, just secondhand clothes, and how they were made of such high quality that it really didn't matter that they were used. And I would like to wear something made how they made it in the time, just to see, because it does all sound very warm. And I guess Britain at the time, and probably now still, didn't really have much of a summer. And I think they explained how the indoor temperature in an office without a fireplace was like 10 degrees Celsius, which I guess is like 50 Fahrenheit. Just cold in general, naturally cold, not the room temperature of 68 that we think of now, or 20 degrees. Speaking of, I have this. I'm able to see the temperature in here, which is not that bad. That's because I have the heat on. It's still kind of cold in the kitchen, but the heat's coming in now, and I think it's just generally drafty in this window. And the humidity is 36, which between 36 and 40 is good, apparently, so I won't need a humidifier, I don't think. That's good. My tea's done. Let me do that. Still drinking this tea. It's good. I'm not gonna add anything fancy this time, though. Oop. Problem with this, though, is that all the water stays in here. Like, it never evaporates. I guess because it's too cold. But even in the summer, it doesn't evaporate. Anyway. What else was I going to talk about? Oh. I have these canned peaches that I want to try soon from Aldi. And Aldi's great. Everything they make is great. And I'm excited because they're in white grape juice. I feel like that'll be good. Yeah. I need to start reading this manga that Harry let me borrow, the horror manga about the spirals. I love the author, because I know he did the one where there were everybody had their own hole in the giant mountain, and that was terrifying. So I'm excited for this. but I haven't gotten around to it. And that's because the Victorian book has taken up all my time. And I have a bad habit of not finishing books if they don't keep my interest enough. Sometimes I feel bad. Like, I feel like I have to finish it because I got so far into it. It's like the sunk cost fallacy, but I eventually just stop reading them. And I pick them up again someday, and when the time's right, I'll enjoy it. I didn't do much else today. Yeah, I haven't thought about much what I want to talk about. But I think I'll get better at that. It would be nice to have something interesting to talk about. So when I look back at these videos, I don't know. I'm personally interested when I watch them again in 10 years. That'd be nice. Anyway, I think that's it for today. So, have a good night.